ever feel as if your body is failing you? Hello, beautiful people, and welcome back. It's Charlie here, and this is Charlie with Gracefully Aging with Charlie. And today I want to have a heart-to-heart with you about something that touches all of our lives as we get older. And that's our health challenges. This is a topic that's deeply personal to me, and I want to share some of my own journey with you, along with what I've learned about navigating these changes with grace and resilience. First, let me say this. Aging brings challenges. We all know that. It's also an opportunity to bring wisdom and perspective, and an opportunity to deepen our relationship with ourselves as well as our bodies. The health issues we face aren't failures or signs that we've done something wrong or that we're doing something wrong. They're part of the human experience, and there should be no shame associated with any changes that we're going through. As we age, our bodies change. That's not a revelation. It's just a reality. And I think we don't talk enough about what that really means day to day. Our cardiovascular system changes, our bones become more fragile, our balance may shift, our immune system doesn't respond quite as quickly. These aren't just statistics in a medical textbook. They're realities that show up in our lives. You might notice you get tired more easily. I know I do. Maybe you've had a fall or a health scare that seemingly came out of nowhere. Perhaps medications you never thought you'd need are now a part of your daily routine. And all of this can feel frightening, isolating, or like you're losing control. But here's what I want you to know. You're not alone. And acknowledging these changes doesn't make you weak. It simply makes you human. I want to be totally transparent about this health thing. And so I want to share with you about my recent journey with health, because I truly believe that vulnerability creates connection. And maybe my story will help someone else feel less alone. So in October of 2024, I experienced a serious health incident. I was getting chronic stomach pain and constant diarrhea. I'd get nauseous and dizzy pretty much every week. I also noticed there was a color change in both my urine and my stool. My urine was darker, and sometimes my stool had no color at all. I went about 6 months or maybe longer, which I don't recommend, before I went into my primary care doctor. She ordered a number of tests, including scans of my gallbladder, liver, stomach, and whatever. When the results came back, she called and let me know my gallbladder was full of stones, and I'd have to have the gallbladder removed. Needless to say, I was concerned. Just a little backstory about my health. Considering I never had a parent or anyone to teach me about healthcare, self-care, or any type of care for that matter, through my associations as I matured with friends and others, I learned that you're supposed to go to your doctor and your dentist at least once a year. I was in my 20s. And then when I had my doctor's appointment, I found out that I had thyroid disease. So that was my first medication until my October 24th incident. I was active both physically and mentally and had no long-term vices. Although I don't drink much now, I've always been a social drinker, and I do imbibe when I go on my yearly cruises. So in that moment, when I had that incident in 2024, I realized that I was on a path, perhaps, to having health issues. I went from feeling relatively healthy and in control to suddenly being confronted with my own mortality and vulnerability. And I was 76 years. So I had no idea that in 2025, my faith would be totally put to test. First, my only sister called to let me know she had cancer. Then in September of 2025, I was rushed to the emergency room because I woke up around 3 a.m. and I was nauseous, dizzy, and had a horrific headache. Fortunately, the hospital is about 3-minute drive from where I live, and I drove myself. Dumb, yes, don't do it. They rushed me in right away because of my symptoms, and my blood pressure was extremely high to the point where they were suspecting a stroke or an aneurysm of some type, or even a heart attack. So they gave me CAT scans, the typical EKG and all of that. But because they couldn't get my blood pressure down, they sent me by ambulance to another hospital that specialized in brain issues so that I could have an MRI. My daughter, who normally would be with me, was out of town celebrating her anniversary, and my granddaughter came to the hospital and visited with me and brought some things that I would need to spend the night at the hospital. It was a frightening situation. They couldn't get my blood pressure down, and then when I had to sit there for hours waiting to be wheeled down to get my MRI, it just gave me time to really focus on my health and to question if I really was healthy. Now, mind you, ever since my 20s, I started going to the doctor regularly. And when I was about in my 50s, I was seeing the doctor at least every 6 months. So when these things were brought to my attention, especially the gallbladder thing, I couldn't understand, because here I am, I'm going to you every 6 months. And then all of a sudden, when I'm having these severe pains, I'm told I have kidney stones that have completely filled up my gallbladder. What was the point of making all of those appointments? Why is it that doctors respond to symptoms instead of doing preventative care? Those are the kinds of thoughts that were going on through my mind. Plus, it was very emotional for me. I had questions of, what does this mean for my future? Will I be able to do the things I love? How do I navigate this new reality? And for a while, it felt like my body had suddenly began to betray me. So when I was in the hospital waiting for my MRI, my daughter has this really good friend. We're Christians. We're devout Christians. And she has this really good friend who came to visit me at the hospital, and she prayed over me, and that calmed me. So, as a Christian, if you're not a Christian, you may not understand some of these things that I'm going to say, but I'm sure my Christian brothers and sisters will absolutely know what I'm saying. But God has a timing, and it's always right. So when Miss Tam came to visit me at the hospital, it was just before they rolled me down into the room to get my MRI. And she prayed over me, and it was just so timely, because by the time she came, I was just frightened. I was concerned. I was in need of calming down, because as a Christian, when you let fear overtake you, it's a way of saying, I don't trust you. And I do trust God. I trust everything. So when she prayed for me, as soon as we all in that room said amen, there were a couple of Christian nurses in the room at the time as well. At the end, when Tam said amen, the nurse came in and said, it's time to go get my MRI. And through the prayer, my fear started to diminish. I was completely calm, and I was ready for whatever the procedure would be. And so they wheeled me down, and again, I was completely calm. They took the MRI with contrast, if you know what that means, where you drink the stuff. And anyway, so they took the MRI, and then the instructions were to go back to the room and wait for the neurologist to come in and visit you to explain what they found. Now, at the first hospital, the emergency room, when they took my CAT scan and EKG, they found a spot on my brain. I forgot to put that in there, which is what led me to the second hospital, for my MRI. Do you hear that clicking in the background? That's my dog. Serious? You need to stop. He's chewing on this bone, which he absolutely loves. Excuse me, I love my dog. But anyway, they found a spot on my brain, and it's called a cavernoma. So the reason the MRI was ordered is because they suspected the cavernoma could be bleeding. So anyway, when the results came back from, which could be fatal, by the way, when the results came back from the MRI to confirm whether or not the cavernoma was active or actively bleeding, I was told to wait, and the neurologist would come in and speak to me. Well, another surgeon came in. Oh, I forgot what he was called, but he was a radiologist. He came in to explain to me what was going to happen next. And he said to me that the MRI revealed that, yes, indeed, I do have a cavernoma, but it looks as if it's like remnants of something, but there was no bleed. It wasn't active, and they didn't believe that that was the cause of my high blood pressure. So I was told I wouldn't need to speak to the neurologist because there was nothing that they could do because there was nothing of concern. So as a Christian, I look at these things as miracles because I completely expected to hear them say that it was bleeding or somehow led to the incident that morning that caused me to go to the emergency room. But it didn't. So basically, they said as soon as they get my blood pressure down, which was still high, I could be released. Well, they ended up keeping me overnight and finally got it down to a level that they were comfortable with, but still slightly high. So that was the second prescription that I was given, along with my thyroid medication. Now at 77, I'm on 2 medications. And nothing has happened since, and my blood pressure has been normalized, but there's still no explanation as to what caused that spike, that scary, scary spike. So now I just go in to see the doctor every 6 months and have a new MRI just to see if the cavernoma has changed in its size or indicates that any activity has is going on. So then you would think that was enough, right? I would think that was enough. I just began to question everything. I mean, after all of these years from my early 20s until 76, literally nothing. I had never had a surgery before. The worst thing that ever happened to me was I got, the thing in 2020. I don't know if we can, the CVID word. I got that. And I got that 3 times, and it was very mild, except for the first time, but just nothing. Nothing. And then in November, after the scares, after the surgery, I suffered the most excruciating pain in my big toe in my foot that I've ever experienced in my entire life. And I've given birth to children, right? And it was a gout flare up. I have gout, a vegetarian. How am I getting gout? If you've ever had a gout flare up, can you just put me too in the comments? Because we're brothers and sisters. I mean, it is horrific. So during that time, of course, they put me on prednisone and whatever else they gave to me. And I literally could not walk without excruciating pain for about 2 months until it finally resolved. So I say all of that. And when you look at it from October 2024 through the actually, oh my gosh. And then I forgot about that. And this was just recent. January 22nd to be exact. I had to have my a D&C of my uterus because from one of the scans or an ultrasound, they found that my uterus had thickened walls and they were concerned that perhaps it was cancer. So I had to go through and get a D&C, and that was just a week ago or so. I don't know why I forgot about that. But when you think from October 24, when I was 76 years old, to January 22nd, and I'm only a few months away from 78, all of these medical issues literally came out of nowhere. I had no clue anything was unhealthy in my body. And one of the things I always prided myself on is that I've always been so physically and mentally active. And it didn't matter. Stuff still happened. And the point is, stuff happens. As you age, it happens. It doesn't matter how well I took care of my body. If I didn't know something was brewing inside of it, because we don't do preventative care here, right? We do symptom care. Then I wouldn't know what to target in my healthcare regime. So that's why I say, don't feel bad. Don't feel bad at all. It's just a way of letting us know that we need to pay more attention to things. Like, what I mean is when I get a headache that seems abnormal, I really do need to immediately reach out to my PCP. Because if it doesn't feel normal, that means it's abnormal, right? So we need to get a professional involved. If my cramps, I don't have a period, but if I'm cramping in my stomach and that's abnormal, I shouldn't wait 6 months like I did with my gallbladder. I should have reached out immediately, because even though my gallbladder was full of stones, maybe it could have just been a stone or two in my gallbladder saved. But because it was lined up, as my gallbladder surgeon said, like little soldiers, they were lined up. Perhaps I could still have a gallbladder. And having to live without a gallbladder presents other things that you have to deal with for the rest of your life. But you can live without your gallbladder. So basically, pay attention. It doesn't matter if you have health care. Those visits are paid for the most part. You don't have to pay anything. It's there. You're throwing money away if you don't take advantage of what your healthcare insurance provides for you. So let's talk about things that I've learned. Listen to my body, but don't panic at every signal. There's a balance between being attentive and being anxious. Learn the difference between normal aging changes and symptoms that need medical attention. When in doubt, always check it out. Just call that PCP and stop Googling stuff. The biggest Googler ever. Even though a lot of stuff on Google is absolutely correct, there's so many varying perspectives on every single symptom there is. Just go to your PCP, get your test or whatever exams need to be done and rule it out, right? So you don't sit there and try to self-doctor, because that's so anxiety provoking. And I don't recommend that to anybody. Also, build a healthcare team. Find doctors you can trust. I had to change doctors because they just simply weren't doing their jobs. And one of the main things you want to look at is, does your doctor dismiss you, or do they actually take time to listen to you and then proceed with your comments and your concerns in mind? That's very important. You have control over the physicians that you choose, and you can test them. Just put your thoughts out there and see how they react. If they just dismiss them, then you dismiss them. Don't be afraid to advocate for yourself or seek second opinions. And I've started doing that. I've also started keeping detailed health records. Although I love patient portals because all the stuff is in there, but I do keep a diary on things that I like and don't like about the physicians that are treating me or the nurses' assistants or all the people. And I write their names down so that if there's a red flag, I know not to use them or to ask for somebody else to tend to me. Because if you give me attitude, I'm done. You're not touching me. But you also want to, in emergencies, and I pray none of you have any, but I know that that's a reality as well. But you want to have all of your information available. And if you travel like I do, the reason I keep my medical history with me is because you could be somewhere in a foreign land where you can't actually get into your medical portal. So you want to, or your health history portal. So you want to have at least the bare minimums. What identifies you, your contact, your point of contact, medications you take off, and what's the strength, medical issues that you have, physical medical issues, all that kind of stuff, so that you can have it and provide it to if you have to see a physician in a foreign land. As we age, I know a lot of us have been fiercely independent, and it's very difficult to transition into needing people to help us. But I appeal to you to accept help, offer help. I know it's hard, but being independent can cost you your life. I don't want that to happen to you, and I certainly don't want it to happen to me. So one of the things I've done is backed off that independence, that stubbornness. Maybe it's even a little ego, whatever it is. I've backed off of that so that I can be more vulnerable, more open, more transparent with those who are a part of taking care of me or helping me that I ask assistance from. But learning to receive care with grace is its own kind of strength. It takes a strong person to ask for and accept help, especially when you've been so independent. And I thank God that I have a daughter who makes sure that I'm always okay, who's with me in any incident if she's in town, and stays with me in my home after if I need any aftercare. And I pray you all have that as well. It's literally a godsend. And while we talk about physical health, the thing I want to point out is that when you start having physical issues, your mental and emotional health changes as well. You start to question your mortality, your morbidity, right? You start to, if you let it, you start to let fear come in. You can even start to grieve. You can grieve how you used to be, right? Compared to what you are now and perhaps what you're turning into. It's frustrating, and that's going to come with health challenges, but you have to get a hold of that before something happens. And what I mean by that is my faith and my calmness comes from God because I'm a Christian, and you have to find something that you can hold on to when emergencies happen so that you don't fall into the depth of depression or fear or frustration or hopelessness or helplessness, because those are some of the things that pop up in your mind. And then you find yourself not only having to fight whatever physical issues are going on, but also whatever mental issues are going on. It's a double whammy. And that doesn't help you to physically repair, right? So let's keep in mind that we need to have methods of controlling our mental and emotional health as well. It could mean going to the gym to work out. It could mean meditation. For me, it's praying and asking God to keep me calm and rational, give me wisdom as to how I should feel, what I should do. Reading the Bible helps me. But whatever it is that you need to do to keep your mind together as you're going through these health challenges. Again, I pray you don't have any, but start to practice those now so you'll be ready. I do breathing exercises as well. They come in really handy. I did so many in September. My gosh, my breathing exercises during that time and my gout flare up. Yeah. So the other thing, especially with my gout situation and after my gallbladder was taken out, is that my lifestyle needed changes, especially in the area of my diet. I stopped eating sugar. Do I feel it? My gosh, I feel it. Do I crave it? Absolutely, because I am a huge sugar lover. But because I love my life over sugar, I decided that was a sacrifice that was well worth it. And I'm a new great grandmother. I just want to see my little great grandson. As long as God sees me on this earth, I want to be able to enjoy him. So I got rid of sugars, my carbs, unless they're organic carbs, whole food carbs like beans and that sort of thing. I don't touch it. So no more pastas, no more processed foods. I've cut out bread. And I feel the changes. I've lost over 10 pounds, and that's a wonderful side effect of correcting my diet. So I'm so encouraged by the natural weight loss as a result of changing my diet. But I know, and we all need to understand that in spite of our best efforts to correct our lifestyles, our diets, introducing exercise, expanding our social circle, which helps as well to mentally keep it together. Things happen. We're getting older and things happen. My point is we don't need to add to it because naturally it'll happen. We don't need to speed up the process by incorporating poor choices. So I've given access to my daughter to my patient portal because it's a practical strategy going forward. And if you have a trusted friend or a child that you can give access to your patient portal to, I suggest you do that. That way, if I'm unconscious and she needs to have that information, or perhaps she just needs to go in there or wants to go in there and snoop around, I'm totally okay, because she needs to understand the conditions that I have and medications and that sort of thing. And it's just preparing. It's a strategy because you know that we're on a path, right? We're not at the beginning of this runway. We're kind of at the end. So we want to make it as easy as possible for those who are going to have to speak for us if we're ever in a position that we can't speak for ourselves. So while health challenges can trigger grief and depression and all those other things, just don't focus on that when an incident happens, because if it doesn't take you out, that means you're still here. That means you still have an opportunity to live your life and live it well. Will we have to do things differently? Perhaps. Perhaps we'll have to change what we do, how we do it, when we do it, how often we do it. That's okay. We need to pay attention to those things so that we can add to our longevity. Your value is so huge that we want to implement strategies that will help us be here for at least a few more years, right? And finding purpose every day you're alive, there's an opportunity for you to find your purpose. And if you're living your purpose, God bless you. I love that for you. But I've discovered that we can still find meaning and purpose even when our bodies change. Maybe we can't do everything the way we did it, but we can share our stories and our wisdom. And if we've reached this age, we have so many stories and wisdom to share with others. And it is your responsibility to do that. Everything that you've gone through, good, bad, is something that can help someone else because you obviously came through it. So sharing how you got through those challenges, those stories are plentiful, and sharing them will enrich your life as well because you'll know that you're helping someone else. I want to end this message with hope. Yes, aging brings health challenges. Yeah, there'll be difficult days, but there will also be moments of grace, resilience, appreciation of the good days, and connections with others who understand and can relate to us. We're all walking this path together, and there's strength in that shared experience. When we're open about our challenges, as I've been with you today, we create space for others to open up to. We reduce stigma and we build community. And all of that is the reason I created this channel, Gracefully Aging with Charlie. So to everyone who's facing their own health challenges, I see you. Your struggle is real, and so is your strength. Be patient with yourself. Ask for help. Take it one day at a time when these challenges arise. And remember that gracefully aging doesn't mean aging without problems. It means aging with honesty, with compassion for ourselves and others, with acceptance of what is and with hope for what can still be. Thank you for letting me share this very personal health challenge story with you. And thank you for being a part of this community. If my story resonated with you in any way, or if you have your own story and your own experiences to share, please leave a comment below. Let's support each other on this journey. Until next time, take care of yourselves and remember, you're aging gracefully, whatever that looks like for you. So be blessed and be kind to one another.